What's up, Hoopers? Good morning. That's actually the first time I've been able to say that on this show because we're usually on in the afternoon, but it's March Madness. We're moving around, but that's okay. We are still going to bring that same energy, even if it is 11:30 in the morning on the East Coast. I am actually Nicole Moss, and we have a full house coming your way right here on Triple Threat. But first, as always, the opening tip. And this is where I either air my grievances, I ramble for 3 minutes, but this time I'm not going to do any of that. I'm actually going to express my condolences to the city of Dallas and the Dallas Mavericks fans because I was in Dallas this past weekend. First and foremost, amazing hospitality. Shout out to the Mavs for just rolling out the red carpet for me and my dad. I got to bring him along and he really enjoyed himself. Obviously, we're Knicks fans, so, take that with what you will. But I think the biggest thing is what I observed, right? And I will say this, for starters, the arena was a lot more packed than I feel like it would be for any other organization that just traded away a generational player. So shout out to the Mavs fans for still coming out and supporting their team. The Mavs still put up a fight, although in the last 3 minutes, they kind of lost that one in a big way. It's very obvious they don't have a closer. I was close to the Mavs bench and I saw everybody from Anthony Davis to Kyrie Irving, all of the injured players on the Mavs bench. And it's just crazy to see how many of them actually are not playing in person. I think it's one thing to read an injury report. It's another thing to actually see the difference when you're there in person. At one point, the Mavs only had 7 guys warming up versus the Grizzlies, which, again, absolutely insane. But I will say this thing. There was this guy a couple of rows back from my dad and I, and he had a Luka jersey on. And he spent a good portion of the second quarter screaming a bunch of different things, including fire Nico, put in AD, where's Luka? The list goes on. And I just say this, the Mavs organization, I don't know how you're going to fix this because it doesn't look like these fans are forgetting what has transpired anytime soon. And when I tell you this guy probably woke up the next morning with no voice, I'm not kidding because he would not stop. It was so loud at one point that the players on the bench, the Mavs bench, were looking over and just staring him down. And he did not back down. He kept saying, fire Nico, put in Luka, where's AD? Oh, that's right. The list goes on and on. This guy was really vocalizing what I think a lot of Mavs fans are still feeling to this day. Obviously, the Mavs are really dealing with a tough time. I will say this, though, as a big Kyrie fan, it was really sad to see him sitting on the bench injured. He's been putting up some crazy numbers. His stat lines have been incredible this season. And it's a full circle moment for me because around this time last year, I was in Dallas for the Kyrie Ramadan game against the Denver Nuggets where he had that crazy game winner and Luka was still there and the arena was packed and it was just a different environment. And it just goes to show a lot can change in a year. Well, that does it for the opening tip, and we're going to shorten it this time around because we have a packed show and a packed house. So don't move because when we get back, one of our first guests is going to be in the building. Welcome back to Triple Threat, everybody. Ashley Nicole Moss here, and I am now joined, as promised. I said I wasn't going to be in the studio by myself, and I always deliver on my word. So everybody, please welcome to the first time ever for Triple Threat. We have the Heat legend himself, who caused quite a ruckus in our newsroom. Everybody was very excited to see him. Mario Chalmers, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Listen, I'm excited to have you here because much like myself, you don't hold any punches and you just say it how it is, whether that's good, bad, indifferent. So we're going to do that right now, right here, when talking about Anthony Davis. All right, the gift that keeps on giving. So Anthony Davis finally breaks his silence regarding that absolutely mind-blowing trade, and he sat down with his new team, the Dallas Mavericks, and did like a sit-down interview. We've heard only bits and pieces from him via quotes and things like that. This is the first time we've actually heard from him in his own words, and he had this to say about the trade.
At the end of the day, it's a business, and I understand that. I was never. I was just more shocked because I was all like, man, no way they can trade me. When you're one of those players, and I'm pretty sure like on the other side for Luka as well, like both of us probably never thought that we'll be the ones getting traded unless we asked.
In that conversation, he actually added this quote. He says, "I know who I am as a player. I'm a top 75 player of all time. And I just want to let Dallas fans know, like, hey, I got you. I'm here now. So, like, I know you lost a superstar in Luka, but you also gained a superstar in myself." Now, this is interesting, right? Because Jeannie Buss actually sat down with NPR and said that Anthony Davis wasn't happy in LA. She said so many different things, but she said, listen, Anthony Davis was complaining about where he was being played and he wasn't happy. So I think that this was a positive for both teams. They both got what they were looking for and we got what we were looking for. And that kind of contradicts what Anthony Davis said, because Anthony Davis later on, or before he sat down with the Dallas Mavericks, I should say, said that everybody's saying nobody knew anything and all this other blank. I just don't believe it. So that was Jeannie Buss's quote to NPR. And as we know, Anthony Davis, before that quote came out, said that he doesn't believe nobody knew he wasn't going to get traded. So, Mario, something's not adding up, because if you tell people you're unhappy and then you get traded, how are you surprised that you got traded? And what are you smelling? Is this passing the smell test or what?
Not for me. I think it's one of those things where, like, you're voicing your frustrations, you're voicing your opinion, and you want them to do something, but you don't know when they're going to do it, and they do it that quick. Mm-hmm. So I just think that he might have mentioned that he wanted some help, and they was like, well, okay, we got some help for you. Trade.
It's interesting, right? Because we all were debating also whether LeBron knew, because LeBron said that he didn't know, that he was at dinner with Rich Paul and I think some of his other friends while in New York. And he basically said he was taken aback just like everybody else. Anthony Davis is now saying, everybody's saying he didn't know or that people didn't know. I just don't believe that. Jeannie's saying, well, he was unhappy. So we got multiple versions of this trade, of this blockbuster trade. And somewhere in the middle is the truth.
From being a Bron teammate, it's hard for me to say that he didn't know, but it's also believable that he didn't know, because with a trade like that, with a magnitude of a player like a Luka and the AD, you want to keep it under wraps because you know everybody else is going to try to get their pitch to get one of those players. So you don't want to put too much about it, but at the same time, that is your star player in Bron. That is his running mate in AD. So it's kind of like you got to talk to one of them. Mm-hmm. Somebody had to know something. Mm-hmm. And for the Lakers, I think it was a good trade just because you get Bron off the ball. And I've been saying this for years. You get Bron off the ball, let him roam. His knowledge of the game, the way he plays the game now, he doesn't need the ball to be dominant. He just needs spurts to be dominant and show his dominance. And with Luka, you can just get the ball to Luka, get out the way, and be that extra help. So it's kind of like now Bron could be, I don't want to call him the second option, but he's the other option with another option. So
and as of right now, he's hurt. So this is kind of Luka-centric once again. Obviously, they took the L against the Brooklyn Nets last night in their first game without LeBron. But I kind of want to dive into something that Anthony Davis later said in that interview. We don't have the video, but again, having that quote where he said, I know you lost a superstar in Luka, but you also gained a superstar in myself. I'm a top 75 player of all time. I know who I am as a player. I mentioned in the opening tip, I was in Dallas, and the fans were still very much calling for Luka and saying, put AD, and knowing AD is hurt. So it was kind of, being facetious, if you will. But what is your take on him having that approach? Obviously, you think highly of yourself, but last year was probably Anthony Davis's most healthy season going back several years. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to sometimes remember that, when healthy, he is a superstar because we really don't get that version of him often. What did you kind of make of that quote?
I thought the quote was accurate. I mean, I do think he's a top 75 player. I think he's a great talent, somebody that's really good. But the question is, can you stay healthy? And that's the thing where everybody's side-eyeing you. It's like, you're great. You can do everything on the court, but are you going to be on the court when we need you? And that's always been a question about AD. So she's got to see.
Would you say it was an even trade? Because that was one of the things, right? Everyone was saying like, hey, Luka for AD, not an even trade. Mark Cuban even came out and said, this is no disrespect to Anthony Davis, but if you're going to trade away Luka, I'm going to need more in return than just that. And if you would have gotten multiple picks, if you would have gotten this and AD, then maybe you can go ahead and say it was worth it, or you can make more of a claim to or justification for the trade itself if you would have gotten a haul, say, from the Lakers. But a trade of this magnitude, when you just look player for player, especially when you incorporate age into the conversation, one team respectfully walked away better than the other. Is that fair to say?
It's hard to say because if you look at it talent for talent, if you take everything else away.
Yeah, injury sliders off, guys.
Talent for talent, they're both great players.
Yeah.
So it's about what's around them. I think AD fits better with Kyrie than Luka fits with Kyrie. And I think Luka fits better with Bron than AD fits better with Bron. And just today's style of game.
Okay.
So I think in that regards, I say it's an even trade as far as what each team is getting. Now, who's going to be there each night and who's not going to be there, that's where the unfairness comes in.
If injury sliders are off in a perfect world, the Dallas Mavericks are fully healthy, do you believe in that team?
Yes, I do.
Do you believe in them more than the Lakers? Right now, roster for roster.
Roster for roster, I will go with Dallas just because I like Dallas's bigs. I like Gafford, I like Lively, and I like AD. And I just think when you go against somebody like Joker, who's in the Western Conference, you're going to need some bodies to throw at him, some big bodies to throw at him. And I think that's where they get the advantage on that.
All right. Well, it's going to be interesting whenever the Mavs figure it out. For all intents and purposes, I think it's fair to say that Anthony Davis will not be coming back this season. There's no reason really for him to come back. Again, they are dropping like flies in Dallas, and Jason Kidd even said, I've never dealt with anything like this in my career. We have no bodies out there, and it's absolutely mind-blowing, this domino effect of everything post-Luka. It's kind of spooky in a way. I don't like to say the Mavs are cursed. I'm not going to put that out there. But once upon a time, the Red Sox traded Babe Ruth, and they lost for a very long time. Not saying that's going to happen, but it's definitely very spooky, this series of events. But when we come back, we are going to play a little game with Mario here, and he actually doesn't know any of these questions, but he can only skip one. The heat is on when we come back right here on Triple Threats. Welcome back to Triple Threat, everybody. And as promised, we are about to raise the temperature in this studio because Rio here has 5 questions coming his way. But he doesn't know what these questions are. But each question is going to get hotter and hotter and hotter. Now, I did give you one skip of these 5 questions. So if there really is a question you don't want to answer, you are free to skip it. But just know, if you utilize your skip, you don't have another one for the rest of this game, okay?
All right, I got you.
So we are going to start with a warm question. Well, warm in our opinion. And the first question is heat culture overrated?
No, heat culture is definitely not overrated.
Okay, explain.
Just because
some people say that heat culture is a way to not have to go after big players and just think you have enough with what you have in the locker room, and you could always win, you could always get over your opponent, X, Y, and Z. So explain to the doubters what heat culture actually is.
So heat culture is basically, for me, is doing what it takes to win. Putting your life on the line, quote unquote, for the next person, for your teammate. Doing whatever it takes to win. And I think that's what the Heat culture really means to me is sacrifice.
Why are you smiling when you say it?
Because it's about
it
sacrifice.
Sounds like talking points. Was this like drilled into your brain during like training camp and stuff like that?
I mean, it's always drilled in your brain. We're 12 strong, 15 strong. So once being a part of the Heat culture and being a part of the Heat Nation, it's like, to win, you got to sacrifice. And that's what everybody did for us to win when we won our 2 championships back to back. And, you know, that's what it takes for a lot of championship teams to be successful. Somebody has to sacrifice, or everybody has to be willing to sacrifice.
All right. Well, he answered the first one, so we're going to get a little hotter now. Hot question. Is LeBron the GOAT?
I get this question all the time. For me, LeBron is not my GOAT. Michael Jordan is my GOAT. It's nothing against Bron. I still think Bron is a great player. But just for me, I grew up watching Michael Jordan. I always wanted to be like Michael Jordan. When I first met Michael Jordan, it was different. He has a different aura about him. So Michael Jordan is my GOAT.
So it has nothing to do with like rings and that debate and who was more feared on the court and who has 50,000 points and who doesn't, who's been playing longer. It's just strictly my personal experience with MJ.
Just my personal experience with MJ and Bron. I tell everybody this. I say Bron is the greatest superstar to ever play this game, and Michael Jordan is my GOAT.
Okay.
So.
If somebody had LeBron as their GOAT, could you get it? Or for you, is it undisputedly Michael Jordan?
I get it, but I like to hear their arguments. And people go all around with their arguments, so it just be like...
What's the craziest argument you've gotten as to why LeBron's the GOAT over Michael Jordan?
Pretty much because he has the scoring record. And it's kind of like, well, LeBron's never been hurt, so he's supposed to have it. Like... It's a gift and a curse. Like, if you could play this long without being hurt or not having any injuries, why wouldn't you have that title? Like, so it's kind of like you're supposed to have that.
Yeah. Okay. Hot take. We're going to go a little bit hotter now. We all know the story that you said that when you were a rookie, Pat Riley had you followed, and you discovered this at a bar. So what bar were you at when you discovered that Pat Riley was having you followed?
See, I know what bar you think I was at. I was not at Tootsie's where everybody says. I was not there. I think I was at I was either at Dream or a spot called The Fifth. I think it was either one of those 2 spots. So.
Wow, rest in peace, Dream.
Yeah.
What a time. Listen, if you were not in Miami during the Dream era, you surely missed out.
You missed out.
That was prime Miami. Gosh, I used to have some crazy nights in that club.
Man.
When you discovered, though, that, like, this guy was following you and this guy was hired by Pat Riley, what were your feelings? Because I would be like, oh, hell no. Like, what is happening right now?
I mean, you got to take the good with the bad. Like, you paid me to do all this, to do this work. You got to make sure I'm not doing anything off the court to embarrass us. So you take the good with the bad, like I said. So I liked it. I'm not a crazy person. I didn't do too much, so I understood how to maneuver.
Did you ask him about it?
No, I never asked him. It's one of them things like I don't want to know, because whatever you tell me that you might know that I don't know, you just keep that.
You never asked why he was having you followed, or you never told him like, hey, I know you're having me followed?
Not because you know about it. I mean, everybody comes to the NBA, you know that they do a background check. They check your personality. They check where you from, everything. So it's kind of known coming into the league, but once you're in the league, you still have to deal with it. It's kind of like, oh, okay, like this is serious. This is Heat culture. Like I got to sacrifice. That's why I said sacrifice something to be good.
How did you discover, like, was it like really obvious, like this guy just kept popping up at places like you were at, or did one of your homeboys peep him out like, hey, do you know this guy? Like,
I'm not gonna lie, I still don't know who the guy is to this day. How I found out was when Coach Riley brought me into his office. He was like, you had 2 sips of this drink, and then he had a picture of me, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, so I still to this day don't know who the guy is or who it was, but you know, that's Pat Riley. That's Pat Riley for you. So
wow, they don't call him the Godfather for no reason. Here we go. Wow, crazy. All right, hottest question right now. We're gonna raise the temperature one more time here before we get to the blazing question.
Here we go.
All right, so we all saw the video that went viral of Stephen A. Smith and LeBron. We heard Stephen A.'s explanation. We don't really know what LeBron said, but we know what Stephen A. said that LeBron said. So I want to know: are you Team Stephen A. or are you Team LeBron? Be honest.
I'm Team Bron.
Okay.
Just because, Stephen A., I get what you're doing. I get that's your job. But sometimes you do cross the line, and sometimes you say things that can be offensive to a father that has a kid in the NBA. So sometimes you got to look at that aspect as like, this has also never been done before. There's also never been a father-son playing duo in the NBA. So what you're saying, he's still got to protect his son as a father and still got to keep his confidence high, still got to do a little things that you do as a father, as a parent. So I'm definitely Team Bron on that one.
All right. Now we're going to get to the on fire
That's what
question.
I'm waiting for.
This is the biggest question here. Ready?
Yep.
Is it Pat Riley's fault the Miami Heat don't have more championships? You got this far without skipping. The seat is blazing. You can skip it. The fans won't like it, but you can do it. Or you can keep it a buck. Think about it. LeBron, D. Wade, Bosh,
I'm gonna keep
yourself.
I'm going to keep it a buck. You know, I don't run from situations. So I'm going to say no, it's not Pat Riley's fault. Did he have a hand in it? Maybe. I think everybody knows about the cookie situation on the plane. So he might have a little hand in it, but at the end of the day, Pat Riley's not on the court. He's not putting the ball in the basket. So it lies on with us to go out there and perform and do our job and win more championships. So I give Pat a little bit of blame, but not all of it.
Was the cookie situation real? Like, was that the straw that broke the camel's back for Bron?
I don't know if it was a straw that broke the camel's back, but it was the flame starter. It was definitely the flame starter. I still remember that day, so it was just
really. Were the cookies that meaningful to him? They were chocolate chip cookies, is what I think Wade said, right? I think they were chocolate chip cookies, is the story that I think he told. Or I think it was chocolate chip cookies. I don't want to. It was? Okay.
It was chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah. Why couldn't he have the cookies? What's wrong? Was it just a power play? Was it just
See, that's where I'm confused at. Now it's kind of like, was it about the cookies or was it a power play? So now that's where I'm kind of like, Like when Bron first got there, it was like, no, your entourage can't come in here. They can't come kick it. They can't do none of that. Okay, cool. Now we're on the plane. We're on a 27, 25 game winning streak at the time. And you take the cookies off the plane, it's kind of like when are you gonna just relax and just let players be players? Like, and I just remember Pat coming in there, it's like, I'm taking all the cookies because players' weight and body fat is going up. And everybody looks like, oh, what? Like, we won 25 straight games. Like, what do you mean? So it's kind of like, it's a gift and a curse. It's all about sacrificing. That's why I say Heat culture is about sacrificing.
And I mean, LeBron can afford a cookie or two. You know what I mean?
I ain't gonna lie. That was some of the best cookies I ever had. So whatever he was doing to get them cookies made, I was kind of upset too. 'Cause I have my cookies on the plane. He would bring me my own set of cookies. So it was like, yeah, them cookies was good.
All right. The cookies were good, and you didn't use your skip. I respect it. We will be right back after this break, and we're adding another seat into the mix. Zach's going to be joining us, and things are going to get real hilarious when he does. Don't move. Welcome back to the show, everybody. We have Zach joining us. And Zach, you missed the cookie conversation. I know that's right up your alley. I know you love cookies.
I was in the control room.
Yeah. How do you feel about that? Would you be mad if someone threw your cookies away?
I'd be heated. I really want to know where those cookies came from. Like, if you could find out who made those cookies.
His chef made the cookies. His chef would make the cookies and bring them to the game. And he would have, like, case. It'd probably be, like, maybe 10 to 12 cookies in there. He got his 3, I got my 3, and then everybody else will get their cookies. So.
Wait, the math's not adding up. There's more players on the team than there are cookies.
But everybody didn't eat cookies.
Because you're not allowed, or everybody didn't want to eat cookies?
Everybody didn't eat cookies like that.
Okay.
I thought it was like you had to earn the cookies type thing. Like,
I mean, my favorite thing was cookies and ice cream. Like, so that was my dessert. So
yeah.
He gave me my dessert.
Shout out to the cookies and ice cream. Well, cookies and ice creams are normally for a celebration, and the Boston Celtics continue to celebrate because after last night's win against the Utah Jazz, Jaylen Brown was at the podium, and he wasn't shy about how he feels this year's Boston Celtics team matches up against last year's. Listen to this.
How do I compare? A lot of the same guys. Different year. You know, we had to make adjustments throughout the year. I feel like that has made us better, and we're poised. We're more experienced. We've been there before, and you know, I think our trust is there. So we just have to, you know, have that mindset each and every night to come out and dominate, which is hard. But I think we're a better team than we were last year.
So it's interesting he says that this team is better than last season's, because I have some numbers for you guys. So the Celtics right now this season have 119 offensive rating. That's in comparison to 122 last season. Their defense, for all intents and purposes, is better this season, but their offense is actually down. Now, Boston is 53% on three-point attempts this season. Last season, they were 47%. Both led the NBA. Now, this season is the first time in history a team has taken more threes than their other shots. Some may say they're taking too many threes, but as we know, that's kind of the DNA of the Boston Celtics. But given the numbers, given what you're seeing on the court, given what the Cavs are doing, Rio, do you agree with this analysis from Jaylen Brown? Are they better this year than last?
I think so. And the one thing that he said that I really agree with is the experience part. So once you make it to a championship and you actually succeed and win that championship, your confidence and everything about you goes a little bit higher. Your knowledge of the game, your knowledge of the situations, they all turn up. So in that regard, as being mentally prepared and the mental aspect of it, I think they're a lot better than they was last year.
I have a question for you then before I even get my answer then. What is the difference now? Okay, you have the experience, you want it all, but now you're the hunted versus being the hunter. Like, and you've never experienced that portion of it, and like they're not running the East like they did last year.
Here's the kicker to that. At the end of the day, we've all been hunted because we've all made it to the highest level. So we all had to get somebody's best shot at some point in time. So you just take that knowledge that you had before, you add it to winning a championship, and you combine it all together. You're right there. You're right there back at the top.
Okay, so you don't worry at all that they have a worse record this year at this point in the season than they did last year?
Nah, just because it's an 82 game season.
Do you think they're coasting?
Yeah.
I always say that. You know, because that's kind of what we did, and I don't want to put us out there, but after we won that first one, it was like we just want to get back to the second one. So everybody takes their time, especially when you get there during the regular season, get to the championship, get to the playoffs, and then you let it all out from there.
Do you think that's a dangerous, like obviously it worked out for the Heat, we know the two-peat, but do you think that's a dangerous way to kind of approach the game, especially at this point in the season when you're coasting and you're kind of playing with your food a little bit and you're, you know, losing to teams that you should be beating and you're beating teams by close margins that you should really just be blowing out of the water? Do you think that makes it hard to flip that switch when you start talking about playoffs, even if you are a championship team like the Boston Celtics?
It's all about a player's mindset. It's all about a coach's mindset. Some players, it could be easy to flip that switch, and some players, it could be harder to flip that switch. So, like your first question you asked me, I do think it is a bad way to approach the season.
Well, it worked out for y'all.
But sometimes it works out. So I know people think about just resting, trying to make sure everybody's healthy going to the playoffs. So I think that's just everything that goes along into it.
Zach, better or worse?
I think they're worse. I think just like the eye test and the feel I get. But worse
to the point that you will say not a championship contender, not in a position to two-peat?
No, they're absolutely a championship contender, and I would not be shocked at all if they make it to the finals. And like if we started a series today with the Cavs and the Celtics, like because of the championship pedigree, I think I might go Celtics, but I don't think they're as good this year, and I don't think that they will win the title this year. They're not as scary. Like last year they were scary. Like I watched them, I was like, they just seemed impressive. They were so good at home, and it was like you couldn't stop them. It felt like every way they went,
we can't stop them.
They could beat you. This year, they lost some of that. Like it's just not as they don't scare me.
I feel like. Yes, maybe as a team, they don't strike fear in you the way that they did in previous seasons. But I don't know. I feel like Jaylen Brown still has something to prove. He obviously got was not part of Team USA. You have Jason Tatum, who is constantly under attack every other day. He's not the face of the NBA. His game is boring. He wasn't Finals MVP. He didn't really play in the Olympics. He wasn't Eastern. I mean, the list is long for Jason Tatum.
They did him dirty. So he definitely got something to say.
I feel like
so
Jason Tatum has like a dartboard in his room, and he just throws names at it. Like I'm coming for every single one of these people. I took that personal, Michael Jordan-esque. You know what I mean?
Kobe-ish. Like that's one thing about Tatum. Like he said that. Like, why can't I be the face of the league? Like I've checked off every box to be the face of the league. I'm still not the face.
You think he should be the face?
Yeah. Where's your stance on that?
I don't know. Does he want to be the face? That's the thing.
It sounds like he does want to be the face. He keeps basically putting his resume out there.
Being the face of the NBA comes with what?
Pressure,
responsibility.
All the above. So do you really want that? Do you really want
I feel like he does.
it comes with money too.
I mean, he's got plenty of that.
But even more,
it also comes with people picking out the things you do wrong, your flaws.
They do that now?
And they go find your flaws. They don't wait for you to do something. They go find your flaws. And do you want to handle all that? Can you handle all that?
But do you think, like, okay, because I feel like we're having this conversation about face of the league, and everyone wants to use personality as, like, the justification as to why one player can't be the face of the league and one player is. Like, everyone says, it's Anthony Edwards because he's personable, or it's SGA because he's swaggy and he's charisma and he's got aura, as the kids like to say. I still don't know what that means, but whatever. And Jason Tatum's too quiet. He's too reserved. But then people will say, like, Wemby's the face of the league, but Wemby reads books before, like,
you can't
the
read
game.
Books? You can't
No.
read books?
What I'm saying, I mean, I like guys who read books, but I'm just saying, all right, we like smart guys. But I'm just saying, it's not like Wemby is like the most Anthony Edwards charisma. He's a very subtle, kind of quiet, like he just lets his game speak for himself. So I guess my confusion is, why is that a knock to Tatum, but it's not a knock to Wemby in that conversation? It seems like people just don't like Jason Tatum. I could be wrong.
I don't know what to say. Like I'm with you. I don't know what to say. Like I think he should be the face.
But because my take on it,
He thinks he's boring.
Right. I think that his game, and this is not a knock on him, and like I said before, I've never met him. His game is great. He's a great player. It's fun to watch him, but his game is not fun and exciting. It's like almost too robotic. It's almost too smooth. And then his sound bites, he doesn't get like, because I feel like
God forbid.
in my opinion, if you're going to be the face, you need to be splashy in one way or another. Either you're splashy with how you talk to the media and the sound bites you give, or your game is just so splashy and out of this world that it does all the talking for you. Neither of those is the case for him. That's why he can't be the face, in my opinion.
I agree with that, but at the same time, who can? Anthony Edwards don't want to do it.
And it should be him. I feel like that's what the league needs. I think Ant as a face is more fun than Wemby as the face.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the difference in personalities, because when we talk about difference in personalities, there's no difference. There's not a bigger difference than Jokic and SGA. Mm-hmm. And the conversation has been SGA, Jokic, who's the MVP? Jokic is having an insane season, 30, 20, and 20. I have never seen that in my life. I'm still digesting that. SGA is dropping 20, 30, 40, 50-point games and multiple versions of that throughout the season. But Jokic has always been kind of known for, like, I do basketball in my spare time. I just want to chill, hang with my horses. I don't really care about accolades. I don't care about championship parades. I just want to vibe and leave me alone. But this latest soundbite has us wondering, maybe he actually wants to be MVP this year. Listen to this.
I mean, this is my third or fourth year in a row, so I'm really, I don't know. I cannot control it. I think I'm playing the best. I would say that I think I'm playing the best basketball of my life. So if that's enough, it's enough. If not, the guy deserves it. He's really amazing.
So he said, this is my third or fourth year in a row, so I can't control it. I will say, I think I'm playing the best basketball of my life. So if that's enough, it's enough. If not, the guy deserves it. He's really amazing. It kind of sounds to me like, I don't know, like he might be kind of it sounds to me like Jokic wants it. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. Maybe it's just the fan of me wanting him to want it. But it sounds like he's kind of saying, hey, I'm in this. Like, I don't know. I could be wrong.
I think so. I definitely think he's letting everybody know, like, this is my season. Like, this is one of the best seasons I've had since I've been in the NBA. And there's always been question between me and Embiid or me and somebody else. So now I'm trying to separate myself and show you that I am the MVP. Ooh. But I think it should be co-MVP. I think they both should be MVP this year.
Come on. I hate co-MVPs.
I do too, but we need it. We need faces of the league. We don't need a face of the league. We need faces.
I can't get with the co-MVP. I can't. There's one winner. There's one winner.
I wanted Embiid to win MVP when he won it because I was tired of seeing Jokic like just run it up and run it up.
I'm a Kansas guy. I'm a Kansas guy, so I was going for Embiid.
Exactly. So
that's my guy.
I was happy to see Embiid win it. If Jokic is actually going to talk that talk and act like he wants it, because to me, like his whole shtick of I'm just here to play basketball and like not caring, I'm tired of that.
He's a chill guy, man.
No, like sure, this is your job. Like show that you actually want to be here and you want to play. Like it's annoying to me to say like, I just want to go be with the horses. I don't want to talk to the media. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Like, but if you truly care and you're gonna put your case out for all of us to see why you should be MVP, I'm cool with him winning again. But SGA is a nice switch up as well. Like I like switch ups.
I've been on the SGA train, but what Jokic is doing, I got to give my props to him. If he does win it again, I can't say that I'm going to be mad at it. When we come back, we are diving into our bag and we are taking a trip down memory lane with some of the funniest NBA tweets of all time. You don't want to miss this. Welcome back, everyone. We are taking a trip down memory lane, and we are going to talk about the funniest tweets by an NBA player. And we have some options here that we're going to dive into and share. So, the funniest NBA player is undisputably Mad Max. Okay, I'm not mad at that. That's interesting, but we wanted to see the funniest tweets. So this is just the funniest player. So let's dive into some of these funny tweets here and roll up what we have. Oh my God, this is one of my favorite tweets ever from Blake Griffin. He said, I accidentally hit a squirrel yesterday in my car. Feel so guilty I could barely sleep. Casey Anthony is a monster. This is one of my favorite tweets. For people who don't know, Casey Anthony was on trial for killing her child. Allegedly, she obviously got acquitted of those charges. But the fact that he hit a squirrel and related it to a whole murder charge, Blake Griffin is a character. This is back in the, now, granted, you're going to see these dates on these tweets. They go back really far. Because this is when Twitter was like the Wild Wild West. Yes. You could say whatever you wanted on Twitter. There was no block. There was no mute. There were none of the parameters that we have now. So let's see what else we have in the vault here. In terms of tweets, I don't know what any of these are. So I'm looking at these with the rest of you guys. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Can we put one up here? Do we have? Katie's tweets are basically a gold mine. He said, I'm watching the History Channel in the club, and I'm wondering, how do these people know what's going on the sun? Ain't nobody ever been. This was in 2010.
Middle of the summer, too, of 2010. Like at that.
Hold on, we're going to skip over the part where he's in the club watching the...
That was what I was about to say. Why are you in the club watching the History Channel?
That must have been a boring night. You must have been in Utah somewhere like that.
July 31st, 2010 has to have been what? I don't know, a Wednesday or something.
And like, what kind of club is showing the History Channel at that? Like, okay, if you have a TV on... Like,
no, he was probably watching it on... Oh, no, could you... I don't think you could watch it on your phone back in the day.
Utah, or he was in Cleveland, or not Cleveland, Utah, or maybe Denver.
Denver?
Okay. Like that?
Ooh.
I mean, there's just one of them places where they had the History Channel on in the club. So that's all I'm saying.
Okay, the first tweet we actually brought up, we didn't have the actual tweets underneath it. I don't know if we can pull that up, but if not, I have them in front of me. I can read this, speaking of Utah. So this is Mad Max, and he said, it's understandable to brag and celebrate having the best record in February when your franchise's biggest accomplishment is food poisoning Michael Jordan. And then Utah fans got very offended by that, and he came back and said, I'd like to apologize to Jazz fans that were offended by my tweets. If I knew you guys had the internet in Utah, I would have never made those tweets.
Hey, Utah, I'm going to give y'all a little insight. Leave Mad Max alone, okay? He's called Mad Max for a reason. Leave him alone.
If I knew you had the internet in Utah in 2021, mind you.
I feel like every time I see his tweets, I'm like, this has to be a burner account. Like this,
No,
this
that's real.
can't really be him right here.
He's like, in real life?
It's so much.
Max lives in Charlotte. I see Max all the time, talk to him. He's really like that. So, like, that's why I say leave him alone. Like, leave that man alone, please.
You gotta know your audience, guys. Let's go ahead and pull up the last one here. I think, let's see. I'm trying. Oh, this one is I'm trying Jennifer Daly. So that's actually really funny. That's when that woman said to CJ McCollum, try winning a playoff game for once, and her name was Jennifer. And he goes, I'm trying Jennifer. And this guy is saying, I say I'm trying Jennifer on the daily. That's actually really funny. One of my favorite tweets, I just remember off the top of my head constantly is, and he spelled her name wrong, is when KD said he would drink Scarlett Johansson's bathwater.
Oh, yeah. I know Terry Rozier has some tweets.
Oh yeah, I don't know if we can say that on air, but he said somebody should play basketball because he was really tall.
Instead of doing some other,
mass murdering people, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't even want to know what he said.
We'll tell you off air.
Can we say that one?
I don't know, Sharon. Can we say that on air? The Terry Rozier tweet.
Just a quote of him.
I can't tell you what he said if I'm trying to tell. He was talking about Osama bin Laden. Can I say? Oh, okay. Yeah, I can't say that. I can't say it. I just asked. We'll tell Rio that off air.
Please.
But back in the Wild Wild West days of Twitter, did you ever tweet anything you ever regretted and were like, dang?
Nah. I used to be funny on Twitter.
Really?
I remember one of my tweets. We was in Vegas, and some girls from back at home in Alaska, they posted a picture with me, and they said they was popping bottles with me. And I was like, false. Y'all just asked for a picture, and I went about my business. So that was one of my tweets that everybody went crazy over. They was like, he really called people out. And I was like, yeah, don't lie on me. Like, just don't lie on me. Like, it's cool. I took a picture with you. Like, I know you from back at home, but we're not popping bottles. Like,
have you ever gone back and like looked through your old tweets to clean things up? Because like, people love to go search and dig and see what people were saying.
Do you know how many I have that are thrown at me constantly?
Right.
I once tweeted, I was like tweeting mad fast, and I was like, I want a Lakers-Warriors finals, but I meant Western Conference finals. People will still keep killing me for it.
They had to kill you for that.
The AD Jimmy Butler tweet comes back, and that's relatively new. The one that I said Giannis was thinking about going to Miami, which was actually a good tip that I had. I stand by that. It didn't happen because Drew Holiday ended up going to Milwaukee, and then the Bucks won the championship that year, so that didn't help. The Milwaukee Bucks still have me blocked on Twitter to this day.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That was personal. Y'all got beef.
They got beef with me.
Y'all got beef.
But you know what's funny? I'm going to call them out right now because they blocked me on Twitter, but then their admin randomly, like a week and a half ago, liked one of my pictures on Instagram. Pick a struggle.
Call them out.
Pick a side. That's all I want.
You want to name drop?
No, I don't know who runs that account.
You gotta do your research. You gotta do your research. You're gonna be doing all that. You gotta go ahead and drop the bomb.
Me. That's all. I mean, it's not like I'm gonna go to Milwaukee anytime soon, but like, dang, like you could.
You hating on Milwaukee then?
I mean,
what's your beef with Milwaukee?
Yeah, you see.
Just like, no one's ever said I want to go to Milwaukee on vacation.
You joking now?
I'm about to say, okay.
Nobody's ever said you like it. You think it's cool?
I've never been to Milwaukee. I know people who live in Milwaukee though, so like. I'm sure it has some things to it. Not far from Chicago.
You've been to Milwaukee. How do you feel about it?
No comment.
Yeah, it's
Milwaukee's not bad. It's just small. It's nothing to do.
Okay. Would you rather be Milwaukee,
wherever you're about to say,
Oklahoma City, or Denver?
I'm gonna take OKC.
Really? I heard there's like one restaurant out there.
But I have different meaning for OKC because OKC's big Kansas fans. And I went to Kansas, so I know I'll get more love there. But my other choice would be Denver.
Okay.
Denver for sure.
I heard from some of our writers that there's one steakhouse and you see all the OKC players there after the game. Guys, that does it for Triple Threats. For myself, Rio, Zach, what did I just hit? I hit the mic stand. This has been amazing. And if you missed any of it, don't worry. You can scan this QR code here and catch up on the full episode, all the storytelling, all the cookies, and everything in between. We'll see you next week.